Hello, Pisces. So great to see you. It's a great way to end the week, also to end this month. I know we're looking at March, but this wraps up the final of all of my 12 videos that I'll be doing. So it's always a pleasure and an honor to be able to be here with you to close this up. And also, my intuitive channel is very open at the end of the month as well. So all this morning, I've been receiving a lot of information, and I actually think you guys get a little bit of a benefit for that. So good to see everybody. I want to welcome, I see we have some new members here, some new channel members, also some new faces in chat. And it really means a lot that the community continues to grow and that you guys are finding value out of what I do here. So from my heart to yours, welcome. And I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, let me introduce myself. If you're brand new and you just happen to click on the live icon, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. And every month I like to really lay out a nice deep dive of everything that's coming through. And I separate it into a few individual parts. So let's talk about the format and then we'll get into all the fun information. The readings are developed, of course, with sun sign in mind, but you can use this for sun, rising, and moon. You can watch on behalf of someone that you like or care about in your life as well. If you're not aware of all that different part of your chart, you can just stick with your birth sign or your sun sign, and it's going to give you all the guidance that you need. The way that I organize the reading is in about 3 or 4 major parts. I like to start with just pure psychic information. So before I get started, I meditate for a few hours in the morning and I receive a lot of information. And so I'm going to share what I heard, saw, and felt in just a moment. After we get through that, then I'm going to pull a full Celtic Cross to see any of the challenges or the blessings or the opportunities that are coming through for you. And then I expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny after that. Something new that I've been doing for the past few months as a part of the live forecast is we're also going to be doing work on the soul. And I'll be focusing on this month in particular, looking at self-love, healing, and forgiveness. But we're also going to be focusing on empowerment for your sign, because that's one of the large messages or the overarching messages that came through when I was meditating. And that's pretty much everything all put together there. I'd like to always begin with a quick thanks towards both Maria and Ryan, my 2 moderators that really are great, and they help answer any questions while I'm speaking. I also like to just kind of address how the live format works for my channel. I know a lot of folks will use this as a chance to do Q&A or like a pick a card. That's not what this is. This is really a live channeling of information. Everybody's going to take part in it. We also have a live meditation at the end. And as we do that meditation, there's some healing that can happen. So that's how I use live. But if you want to participate, say thank you. Of course, you can always talk in chat, and especially if it's relevant to what's going on. If you want to say thank you and support the channel, I see we got a couple of new members that joined. The way you can do that is by clicking on this icon, which is right next to the emojis, and there'll be an option to join. You can also do a super chat. And with the super chat, you can send like a unicorn sticker or write thank you in a nice bold color. And it means a lot, and it helps me with things like buying new cards. I don't think I've used this deck of cards for your sign. I'll talk about it more when I get into it, but that's how I use it. I use it for supplies and also for cards. During the meditation, we'll be using a singing bowl. So if you've never had sound therapy, stick around today for that. I do have a link that I'll post if you're interested in that. I got it on Amazon. It's only $11. So stuff like that, I'll share when I find a great tool of the trade. I've done some videos on intuitive development, and I'm always happy to share what I learn. At the very end, I'll also get into some ways that you can get involved, whether it's joining on social media or booking an appointment. But I know everybody's anxious about the energy coming through for this month. So why don't we focus now on what I was receiving when I started to meditate today. So there were 3 major messages. I always write mine down on cards here, and I'll show you each and every one as we go through it. The first thing that I saw was it felt like it was sort of like a competition with an old friend. I saw someone in my life that represented like friendship from the past. And I had this feeling that there was a lot of love, but there was also competition. And my guides whispered to me literally that it's about being present. And so what I wrote down is that whatever you're experiencing in your life at the moment, whether you're looking at how much money you have compared to your neighbors or your coworkers, or you're in school and you're trying to get better grades than people around you, or you're at some other point in your life and you're just thinking, why hasn't this happened? I've worked hard, I've waited for it, I'm ready, I deserve it. And the important thing is you're only competing with yourself. So if you're trying to do it to keep up with someone, probably not the best sort of motivation. Or if you're trying to do it because others are forcing you to do it, also probably not the best way to go about it. Do it because mind, body, and spirit, you feel it. You're excited. It resonates with you. So I could also restate this: the only person you're competing with is yourself. And that's really what each and every incarnation is about. We live many, many lives. We only live this one once. So you want to be present, aware, grateful, and able to really take in everything that this life has to offer. Don't worry what other people are going through. A lot of times it's a projection. And I think that when we look back maybe at the last century, particularly pre-internet, so maybe like early 90s and before, there was a difference of how like people kind of interacted, because you weren't constantly looking at a device and seeing updates. And it's almost like a projection of what the truth is. And this is where the second message came through. I saw a bunch of actors on a stage, and then a representation of you kind of stepping away from this. And I used to work kind of for like big entertainment companies, and I got very familiar with all the different roles of like, you know, actor, writer, producer, director, all of that. And if you look at some really successful entertainers, they can do all of those roles. And that's what I saw you kind of embodying. And I said here, you are the creator, or you are the one that is manifesting this. You're not just acting or doing a role, and you're not just participating passively. So when you start to take on the role of creator, and we are connected to the divine, we are kind of able to everyday mold, shift, and move things, there's a sense of empowerment. And that's really what I was getting as I started to travel through this journey with you, with all the different messages. And this is also going to be really important for you, because I feel like there might be some people, as you make some changes, as you start to shift, that step in and try to block or try to argue or try to make you feel like you can't do it. And this is where, particularly this month, I saw that there is a potential conflict that is unnecessary. Normally, you know, if there's something, a battle worth fighting, you should fight that, of course. There's better ways than fighting to do it. It's about using your voice, about standing your ground, about having good boundaries. But there was something going on where I felt like there was either a third party conflict going on that you couldn't help because it was out of your hands, or there was somebody who was just angry. And if you get into their orbit, their energy, they would just pick a fight with you. You can't really help them because they're not looking for the help. You're not going to be able to elevate it because they're not open to it. And so in this particular situation, if someone is just kind of seething in their own anger, and you can sense that everybody around them seems to sort of be a victim to that energy, wait until that person wants or needs help or asks you directly. Otherwise, avoid that type of conflict. It has nothing to do with you, actually. They are in their own sort of crisis, and you don't need to get into that. If you do somehow cross paths with them, focus on transmuting. One thing that I learned when I was studying how to be a yogi is that a neutral mind is the key. That's why we meditate so much. It's so that we can get out of our ego a little bit, so we can release our emotions and kind of like an eagle, take a look from all angles, right? So you could either just try to enter into this and think, I'm not going to react. You can't goat me into doing this. Or you're going to try to transmute it and send love and peace and harmony, and kind of then walk away from that if you can. All right. But the shadow energy will exist. It's in the periphery for many of you. Friends, family, colleagues might be going through a difficult time. Your job is to focus on you. You are the creator. You want to create some great things in your life. And remember, it's not about comparing yourself to others. I think if you focus on staying in your own energy, creating the changes that you want, avoiding conflict and avoiding competition, it's really going to put you in a positive trajectory this month. And that's why we show up each and every month to look at what's ahead. Again, just a reminder, if you joined late, this is for March 2020. And if you missed the February reading, those are live on the site right now. So with that being said, I would like to get into reading the cards. And I forgot to mention, for all of you that are kind enough to do the super chats, just so that I don't interrupt the flow, I will post a thank you after the video is on replay, but I do appreciate it. And this deck of cards here, I think it's called Revelations. It's on my site. This is a result of people being able to give back, so I do appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the messages for this month. I'm going to remain quiet at this point, but I will rejoin you afterwards, and we'll talk about everything that I'm seeing. This is a cool deck, by the way. I'm going to talk one more time before I pull anything, because it's going to have two sides, and you'll see this. So it's going to, in retrograde, I choose special cards. I try to have cards that have either shadow and light energy, or in this case, can show both sides of the story. All right, I'll be right back. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being patient while I was assembling everything here. I love the card that we saw here in your catalyst position. It says, I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. And this change card, this catalyst card, which catalyst change, perfect kind of combination. This positioning for me helps me connect all of what we see in front of us. It also is a way to stay in the highest energy. So one thing that this is sort of saying is to make peace with ambiguity, with the shifting of energy, with understanding that this is necessary for evolution, growth, and kind of getting to the next level. So some of you may be deciding to move out of a job, move into a relationship, move into a new place. Change is part of the process. And yes, it can be scary, but it can also be exhilarating. Kind of going back to the metaphor of the actor on stage, it's like the butterflies that you would get before you start a performance, or before you go to an interview or a date, or any sort of meeting where there's definitely some sort of a stake that you care about. And I would say, nothing wagered, nothing gained. So sometimes unless there's something to lose, it's not worth it. And I think this month, for some of you, there's a little bit of a leap of faith. I don't see the Fool coming through, but maybe when we do the expanded look at the soul energy this month, that might be part of it. Because I see that usually you'll get also in combination with this, like death or the Tower or the Fool. But I would say for some of you, it's just kind of going for it. Using, though, that energy as good energy. So actors, singers, performers, and again, anybody that really cares about what they're doing, you should get a little queasiness because you care about it. It's just showing, like, really put your heart and your passion into it this month. And I think if you can use the change energy in that way, it's going to be invigorating. We have the King of Wands here, and it is reversed, but as I said, this actually is showing the power struggle of it. If you look really closely, we see a dragon in the reverse state. What I love about this particular deck is nobody can tell me I'm reading it the wrong way. There's always a right way with this deck, and it's going to give you different energy. Reversals are important, and this deck actually fixes that problem where people don't like to look at something upside down. If we looked at the upright King of Wands here, what we see here is he's holding court, he's comfortable, there's no issues going on. In this one, it seems like he's getting sidetracked. If you look really closely, there is jealousy, anger, frustration, something going on, and we see also a person here taking him out of it. I mentioned earlier that one of the things you want to avoid this month is that unnecessary conflict or feeling like you have to compete against someone else. And I think if you just really focus on your own life and your own energy, that's key. The King of Wands is the ultimate management card. This is really saying that you can effectively handle anything going on with your finances, with projects. You're a great leader, people that you can look up to as a mentor. And so there's so much to like about this that, one thing to remember is strong leaders don't have to prove who they are. They don't have to kind of, basically say I'm a wonderful leader or exert their power. It's more sort of the feeling, the way you're holding yourself, and the way that you also model your behavior. So I think focusing on your life, your energy, not letting other people get in is going to be key. And then also, much as I would say with the King of Wands, waiting for people to come to you. And if they don't, understanding that maybe they're not interested, or maybe it's not a good use of your time and energy. Okay. This is important because as we look at what's crossing it, you're going to be busy this month. There's really nothing negative with Eight of Wands, hardly ever when it shows up. It's very good for business. For businesses, this would show, more than enough work. Basically, you can look out several months and see how much is going on. For social calendars, this would basically say you're not going to have a lot of free time. You might be every night of the week booked, trying to figure out, how do I take a deep breath? So that might be the only piece of this that is worth looking at and thinking, do I really need to do that much? And the other thing with any Eight of Wands card is you could also kind of get lost in the shuffle. Five of Wands has that energy because you're just working without seeing where it's going. Eight of Wands, sometimes you can miss something because there's so much going on. And that management card underneath it says delegate when and if possible. Focus on what's important. And if you have to, sort of push back a little bit. And that's about having proper limits. So your biggest challenge for some of you is just saying no and figuring out how to manage a schedule that could be a little bit taxing. So do your best, stand up for yourself, don't argue with people, state what your needs are, and just kind of let it go. The reason I'm really happy about these combinations is when I look at the deep past, it feels like many of you have worked hard to get where you're at. It's hard to read the text on this, but this is the 10 of Pentacles. It's in the upright position, and we see just beautiful energy here coming through with respect to opportunities in your life, relationships, family members. It feels like you've done some good core work there. It may not be perfect because when I look at near future, we have the 7 of Pentacles. So something happens this month where, maybe someone that you count on is taken out of the picture, or you have to take some of what you have saved up and invest it differently. But the work shows me you can take this sort of energetic or even money hit that's coming your way. It's more of a reallocation of time, energy, and money. So you've done a good job. Some of you might have this change, could be a new relationship or a new job. Both of these elements can be part of the 10 of Pentacles because it's like a domestic bliss card. It can show marriage, it can show house, home, and money. So I'm happy with where you were. And I guess one of the challenges this month is how do you regain that equilibrium? Because in the near future, we have the 7 of Pentacles. And the 7 of Pentacles is growth and development, but often after a period of loss, or in this case, sometimes at the expense of something else. So there is definitely an opportunity cost here going in. You're going to give up one thing and get another. And as long as the change feels good, that's just part of it. We'll look more at that in a second, especially when we get into career. But right now I want to look at recent past here. We have the King of Cups here in the recent past, which in the upright position is fantastic. This is about being able to really tap into your creative energy. And it's a great card for your sign, of course. And what we're seeing here is that you're really starting the month off in a great, powerful place, despite retrograde. Retrograde comes through a lot of times as a cosmic healer. It shows us things that we know that we need to work on, but maybe we've slipped under the rug and think, one of these days, and one of these days is now. And so that's kind of what's going on. But you're in a good position right now because we have a lot of power cards coming through. And there's not a lot of negative cards around them. So I feel like as long as you keep your priorities in the right place, you're going to be okay. And use that passion that I was talking about, the butterflies, the excitement, to get people pulled into what you do and what you love as well. So you're in a good place starting off March. So I actually really like that card and that placement. Your crowning card is also really lovely here. We have the 2 of Wands. Notice how this 2 of Wands is less of a dreamy card, more of a doing card. So oftentimes 2 of Wands, you'll see one wand behind the person. They're kind of holding on to one and they're looking at a crystal ball or the world in their hands. For this card, it feels like by the time March is underway, you already need to have that in your head and you're kind of working towards the 3 of Wands. And this is also about making sure that you hold true to your vision. You're going to be very busy. There's no room to kind of idly hold on to something. We see him holding both, almost conjuring in the energy. This is the creator energy that I saw. So it's a lot of strength, a lot of fire, and sometimes that could be challenging to find that way to sort of speak up and act in accordance to what you want. But it's really important to be proactive and active and to find your inner fire. I worked with Aquarius the other day with bringing that fire through. For you, it's not in the belly, it's actually in the higher chakras. It's around the crown chakra, which is creativity. That's why these two go hand in hand, even though it's elements that you wouldn't normally see together, water and fire. The water is your heart. That's really your passion, your joy. And this is really connecting to the divine energy. And the divine energy can be fire when we think of God or the divine. So when we meditate today, I'm going to take a note of this. I want to work on really focusing on the bringing the light energy around the crown chakra. And maybe, we'll work on seeing maybe a crown of light to kind of help you and help others see the power in your thoughts. So I think that's the important thing here too, is to believe what you say and believe what you see. Because if you don't believe in yourself, it's really difficult for other people to understand where you're coming from. So spend some time in your meditation and really hear it, feel it, see it, know it, and mind, body, and spirit embody what it is that you want to do. I think this month, it's also important to do a little bit of self-care. I mentioned with the Eight of Wands, there's a lot going on, and you might be putting yourself sort of second place. And what we see here with the Seven of Pentacles is it's important this month to, when it comes to your body, also to repair. So if you have an old injury, this can be about like physical therapy, making sure that you follow through on that. If you have just not been eating very well, this is about putting that back into balance. And that can actually be the balance of from the 7 to the 10 of Pentacles, is just getting your body where it needs to be. And then of course your finances where it needs to be. And if you're going to make some sort of a decision where you're going to reallocate your resources, just make sure that you're managing that, keeping an eye on it, and giving and taking as necessary. And I think you'll be able to make it work, especially based on what I'm seeing here on the right-hand side. The only challenge this month is the sort of dance between the Two of Wands and the Two of Swords. So the Two of Wands, crowning position, literally the crown filled with light. And then the Two of Swords is kind of, this is where you're torn between two versions of yourself, or something that's in your life where there's not an easy win or an easy decision. So no matter how many people you ask, you may get, it's like a 50-50 sort of thing, and you're going to have to go into your heart and decide. But with the King of Cups, this is the upright card, not the King of Wands. It's a matter of what feels good over what sort of sounds good or makes sense on paper. You're going to know what to do. And it's interesting. This is I think the only Two of Swords I've ever seen where there's a tightrope involved. Usually you see that with the Two of Pentacles, but there's always balance with the twos. It should be harmonious, but a lot of times we see some balance in these cards. So I want you to trust yourself. And if necessary, if someone is trying to pull you out of that energy, some of the change could be walking away from them. We don't get like a really hard card like Judgment, Justice, the Tower, Death, the Fool or the Six of Swords. So it feels like you could just be separating yourself from that energy. It doesn't have to be sort of like, I don't ever want to see you again. It could just be, I need to take care of myself. You need to take care of yourself. And you can reconnect after the month is done or after you get through your big decision. What's important here, as we see in the environment, is to really stay in control. It's hard to read it. I'll bring it a little closer, but there we go. It's the Emperor. So with the Emperor card, we have so many court cards, the King of Wands, the King of Cups, the Emperor, King, King, King. There's a lot of control sort of stuff going on. Fight for what matters, let other things go. And the most important thing for you is to stay firm for your vision, because this is your manifestation card. We also have a Magician, but High Priestess or Two of Wands are the heavy manifestation cards. The Magician is about kind of bringing your skills together and making it happen as well. So you have what it takes, but you have to stay strong. You might have to step up, speak up, etc. And because this is in your environment and it's touching the Two of Swords, it could be a father, a teacher, a boss, anyone in your life that tends to kind of swoop in and sometimes can even sabotage that. So if you have someone, a saboteur in your ranks, you're stronger than this because we have a bunch of kings. It's all kings. So it doesn't matter if we got the emperor or 2 kings. You've got this. And I think the important thing for you to realize is sometimes your experience is going to be so much more important. So how can I put this? It's not always about age. It can be sort of more about soul knowledge. So if you're younger and someone older can't understand what you're doing, that doesn't make your vision less valuable. It just may mean that they're tethered and perhaps kind of blocked off by book knowledge, by a lack of imagination, something that I talked to Aquarius about the other day. So for you, you know what you have to do. Basically this month, it's just about pushing through, doing it, and staying firm on that. When we're looking at hopes, fears, and opportunities, we have the Magician card reversed. So in the upright position, we have that possibility of making things happen. And you see the nimbus here, the beautiful infinity symbol saying that you're going to start something that can really last. It's a little bit muted here. And you're also focusing on something, again, it's about allocation of your attention and your energy. So I would say don't get distracted. And that's usually one of my messages, but this illustration shows it better than most, which is a magician is effective unless he's looking or she's looking in a bunch of directions that pulls them off of the task at hand, and whatever they're trying to create just kind of sits there and fizzles. So don't try to do everything, 8 of Wands. Focus on the 1 or 2 things that matter the most. Tune out the person that can't imagine what you're trying to do. Again, don't overextend yourself. Ask for help if you need it. And then most importantly, just stay focused on that. If you do that, then we have the Knight of Cups here, which is movement forward on what you care about. Now, I don't usually address who you're meeting here, but I have 2 different, we actually see a couple of relationships coming through. So one is in the recent past. So we have the Knight of Cups, or the King of Cups and the Knight of Cups. So when they're that close to me, that just shows a partnership. For some of you, there's a really great partnership that's kind of like a reunion, someone that you're getting a second chance at meeting or connecting with. They are connected to that magician energy. And so this could be someone who knows how to get it done. And you just know from your past experiences that whether it's a work experience that they're going to help you be your best, or when you partnered with them, maybe in a love relationship, they really helped bring out the best in you. So there's a chance to reconnect to that energy this month if you want it. The other thing that feels like it's a little bit at odds, though, is there is a parental or an authoritative figure that is somehow controlling the money or around that. And again, or your resources or your time. So what you're going to have to do is pull that back a little bit and take control of that. So there's a reunion of sorts that I see coming through for many of you, and then an existing relationship that has to do with control and a potential conflict. Maybe the person coming from the past can help you. If they're not someone from the past, there's a deep soul connection, kind of like 6 of Cups energy, where they feel like they're best friends or just someone that you really love. So hopefully between these 2 relationships, you're going to find some balance this month. And overall, what I see here is you coming into your own, finding your voice, finding a sense of power. My throat's a little sore as I'm speaking. I had that yesterday with Aquarius. So I think all signs this month really have to focus on articulating what's important, speaking up. And also, it's not always about your voice. I would say sometimes it's about how you basically demonstrate, hold yourself, make your decisions, if that makes sense. So let me take a drink here, and then I'm going to move on to the expanded forecast, looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Thank you so much. All right. So with respect to health, this is about giving yourself permission to do what you want to do. The card says, spread your wings. I love that we see this sort of, this beautiful, it's like you're walking on a beam of light, which is great, and going into your highest self, your soul space, your energy. We might use that during the meditation, a stairway of light. I like this. So what this is telling me for you is that with respect to this Emperor card in your environment, hopefully you can embody that, but if there is someone that's blocking it, you might have to not just sort of like stand up for yourself, but maybe move on completely. So if there is a boss that can't help you, can't lift you up, can't sort of help you see what the next step is for advancement and personal growth, then you spread your wings and you go somewhere else. You have a lot to offer the world, and this is just one stepping stone on the way to this beautiful journey. And the other thing is, I feel like some of you are kind of that reunion that I'm talking about between the King of Cups and the Knight of Cups. That's basically an experienced person and kind of like stepping back in time. It's almost like you're getting back to what you were supposed to be doing. So some of you may have been sidelined, and it could be for a good reason. Maybe you were raising a family and you decided to take a break and just be a parent for a while. That's a totally great use of your time. But now you're going to give back to yourself. Perhaps your kids are in college or they're old enough now so that you can invest back in you. And yeah, this is in health and we're talking about money and wealth, but these two cards are almost always connected. So I feel that when you do what your heart desires, notice how opening your arms out, what does it do? It opens up your chest cavity. So this person's really reconnecting with soul purpose, S-O-U-L, and also reconnecting with the heart chakra and really allowing themselves to do what they want and for people to see them in the light that they need to be seen. This could also be expressing love for someone in your life, loving who you want without worrying about what other people want. It's really about your energy and your mind this month. It's not so much about your body. We talked a little bit earlier about some of the things that could be holding you back. I think with respect to diet, it could be just not eating as well as you should. And with all of the court cards and also that major arcana card, the Emperor, you might be sitting too much. When I see that many cards that are showing people seated. So I would say moving is good and just improving your overall diet, but I'm not seeing a lot of other things with respect to health. So this is more of a month where your mental well-being, your heart's desires, and also just a little bit of balance. Even though we didn't get the Two of Pentacles, we have so many twos that it's about balancing out what you've done and what you want to do, balancing out what people say and what you know is right. Finding that internal balance is really important this month. Do that, you're going to be healthier and happier. Also, more, I would say, successful with your wealth area, and we're going to look at that next. So wealth to me is also multi-part. This is not just coins in the bank, right? It's also what you're doing to either pull in opportunities or push them away. And this month we have a big one. It's all about integrity. Let me read the bottom here. It says, align your actions so that they match your values and inner knowingness of what's right for you. So I think these two are absolutely related. For some of you, you have to walk that higher path. And that's how you're going to avoid the conflict. Why spend your time and energy on people with whom they're constantly sort of like trying to bring you down? So always elevate, always go higher. And if you are in a particular situation where someone wants you to hurt someone or do something illegal or do something that is counter to what you think is right, doesn't matter if it's in a book and it says it's wrong, or if it's in your heart and it says, and you think it's wrong, it's the same thing. You have to live with integrity in your work, in how you treat people, and what you're doing with your resources. Integrity is paramount to success this month, and it can't be sacrificed. So I know I've had to step away from situations where I just think to myself, nah, I couldn't go to sleep with myself at night if I did this. So it's time to move on, if that's the case. The other thing, and let's talk about empowerment, because I think that's a much more interesting way to look at things. The environment card is the Emperor, which is control, which is influence. Some of you might be able to help somebody see something from a different angle and help them walk their best path. Remember, though, not to force this. The Emperor is upright, so I feel like if you are in a position of power or influence, it doesn't have to be literal. The best way to kind of help someone oftentimes is to ask questions. So rather than to say, oh my God, you're not going to do that. Well, you could say it that way, but that's kind of, that will evoke a reaction where they kind of freak out. What you could do instead is ask in the form of a question, a different way to approach something. Say, okay, so you think that's one thing you could do. Have you ever thought about this though? I looked into it. I know someone you could talk to if you're interested. Just let me know, because it could save some time. It would be very good for the company image, for your image, whatever. You could kind of put it in a way that they see it as an opportunity. And unfortunately, sometimes people look more from an ego perspective or an opportunity perspective, but you can help someone walk on the higher path by helping them see from all angles, this is good for you and it's good for others. Why do something that's only good for you if you can actually benefit and help others in the process. So you can help someone find their integrity this month as well. But there may have to be, we have the Magician and the Magician's reverse. So there's a little bit of, the question here is it worth being kind of like dancing around this? Because that's what's required for this person. So you can choose if that's worth your time or energy, but there's an opportunity for that. And this really sets into the next card that we see. This is your love card. Love is not just who you're kissing and hanging out with, you know, on an intimate level. It's more importantly, love is a universal currency. I say this a lot. I actually had a little story card the other day in Instagram. It's the currency of the universe. It's the one thing we take with us. We take our knowledge and our soul's experience with us too, but we really take the love. So this is how you treat your parents. This is how you treat your pet. This is how you treat the banker at the bank. This is how you're loving your partner. And so it's everything. So for me, love is not just that. And this month, it's actually about looking at something and thinking, how does it resonate within my heart? We see the heart color here, green. We see someone looking through the prism and trying to figure out all the different sides to the situation. I had a teacher once that mentioned how, you know, as we develop in our lives, it's almost like we're taking, you know, a diamond in the rough and starting to create these different facets. And we choose to only show a certain facet to a certain part of, you know, our friends and family sphere. So what you're going to have to do this month is pull yourself up a little bit and try to see, is this person deeper? Is this situation deeper than I thought? Because if it is, maybe I'm judging too harshly, or maybe I can see a different way into this person's life or into their heart. And you might actually see more value in them. So if there's a parent that just drives you crazy, when you kind of go into your mind and meditate, you think, but look at their life experience. Look how rough their life was. They didn't have a chance to polish everything off. There's still something to love there. It's just not as easy to access, right, as people who had an easier beginning. And yeah, I try to always hold hope and space for people in my life that seem to be in a hard place, because especially if I remember them from my past, like someone that I grew up with, and they've kind of fallen on hard times or they're doing weird things. I'm like, but I remember that kid at school. They were so good. They're still good. Something happened. There's some stuff around them. They need to move the garbage out. So I always look into that sort of inner radiance. And I think this month, recognize your own inner radiance and also look at other people's radiance and realize if they are given an opportunity, perhaps they can grow and they can show that. And I've talked about this before too, especially with respect to children. So if you're adopting a child, or if you're a teacher, or if you kind of have a neighbor who has a kid and the kid is acting up, it's not necessarily that kid's fault. They're trying to get attention, they're trying to grow. And I think sometimes if they're given the right situations, they can excel. So this is a chance, whether it's a little kid or an adult that's been through a lot, you're going to give them a chance to sort of show their true colors. And if they don't step into that opportunity, that's their choice. But give them a moment. There might be something more there than meets the eye. They're deeper than they look, is what I'm seeing here. Finally, as we look at your destiny card, and for me, destiny is your current trajectory, but it's not set in stone. This is the piece where we're looking at this. You are the creator. You're constantly kind of deciding, am I going to embrace this opportunity that I wanted to experience, or am I going to go around it? Am I going to take a different path? So when we look at this in reverse, it almost looks like it could be like a spring bulb growing. But when you bring it in the upright position, which is where it should be, it's actually someone that's kind of dancing this joyful dance. And what I see here is kind of like a swan or a bird. I also see the heart. And this is kind of like make your own path, dance your own dance, work the energy of your heart, and also to become something different, just like a swan or a phoenix or anything. If you can imagine what the outcome will be and how beautiful it will be, other people can eventually get into that energy as well. But again, things are not what they seem. To me, I look at this, I like, if you can't tell, I like flowers. But as a kid on the East Coast where I used to live, we would plant a lot of bulbs, and you would plant in the fall what you wanted to come in the spring. But this is what they look like. If you cut a tulip bulb in the middle, this is what it looks like. Or if you look at any sort of bulb, that it's kind of like your potential energy. And so what you're going to do this month is to take the potential and make it actual and really celebrate that. And I love, the more I've started reading, the more I like abstract decks like this for my oracle cards because it shows you different perspectives. I don't want words on them anymore. I kind of want abstract stuff. It helps you see things. So for you, the same thing. Go back into your inner soul. Be creative. That's what we're really seeing with this. This is your, was it the Knight? No, it's the King. The King of Cups card coming through. But we also got the Knight here in the outcome. So there's a couple opportunities this month to show your colors, to do something you love, to get back into that creative flow. And yeah, some exciting things can come through with that. All right, let's go ahead now and review what we've talked about. And then I want to move along to the soul component where we can work on self-healing, love, forgiveness, and in your case, also empowerment. We'll begin again with reviewing what I talked about at the beginning with respect to all the channeled messages. So try not to see things so much as a black and white competition this month. Right, wrong, loser, winner. That's not really what it is. What we see with this is that you're only really competing with yourself. And the most important thing that can be lost sometimes when you're trying to kind of find that winner or loser, good versus bad, is that you lack the presence in your own life. Just focus on you, and that's going to be the most effective thing. You are the creator. You're the actor, the producer, the director, the writer in your own life. You are not just one of these things, and you're definitely not wanting to take a passive role this month. The more active, the better. We saw that. We have like 3 king cards, basically. So definitely own that in your life. And if possible, try to avoid conflict. I talked about the yoga perspective. You want to enter with a neutral mind, or the sort of alchemic approach here that we saw with the magician, which is to go through and transmute, to change, take lower and make it higher energy. Whatever the case is, change is necessary. Changing your mind, trying to help others see it from a different perspective, changing a living, working, or love situation in your life as well. But what I like about it is there's nothing really chaotic here. We don't see, like I said, Death, Tower, Ten of Swords, any of those things that sometimes would cause people for concern. Yeah, it looks pretty good, actually. What's important for you is to stay focused on your life, your projects. Try not to get involved in power struggles, to also not get mired down in doing too many things at once. There's a delegation energy that's possible. Sometimes I'll say that more with the 7 of Wands, but because we have a King of Wands in reverse with an 8 of Wands, I think you might be doing too much and you might be losing perspective here. You've done a good job in the past of really getting everything balanced, as we see with the 10 of Pentacles. This month, interestingly enough, there's a little bit of a choice going into reallocation of time, energy, and money. As long as it makes sense, that's great. We saw 2 court cards with respect to cups, a King of Cups, a Knight of Cups. It could be connecting with another water sign. It could be reconnecting with a part of yourself that you lost in your youth, as we see with this card. It could also be just an old friend in your life. Whatever it is, I like it. It also feels like this person can kind of help you achieve your goal, even if that's not the express purpose of that. So that's great, because on the diagonal, they're all kind of connected. 2 of Wands, hold your vision, hold your power, really focus on the crown chakra. That's where all the energy and all the fire is, and we'll work on that in the meditation. Keep your diet in check this month. Obviously, don't make any additional expenditures. If there's one big thing that you decide to put your time and energy into, great. But after that, I think it's good to be conservative based on what I'm seeing here. 2 of Swords. Basically, at its core, this is indecision. And the way around this is to just make a choice. So the King of Wands card can indicate research. So do the research necessary. You can talk to a few trusted people. I see a lot of people in the room here as I'm looking at this with, again, the King of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the Emperor, and even the King of Wands. So you may take counsel with others. But one thing that I'm going to say is that at the end of the day, when we go back to the first couple of cards, sometimes as you talk to others, it can bring out that need to compete. And also sometimes you're giving up your own power to create and decide. So at the end of the day, you're still going to have to decide. You're fine once you've made that decision. Notice that we see a moon card here. Moon illustration in the corner of this card. So this might take a full month to kind of come to your final decision. But once you get there, it feels really good. Looking here at what you can do with the Magician, basically you can do anything you put your mind to. Just don't get sidetracked. That's the main message that came through. When it comes to persuasion, you also have to see, is this the right way to do it? Is that the way of integrity? Or should I just be straightforward? So you have some choices. I can't tell you what's right here because it might be slightly different for different people. The most important thing is to have integrity. So if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And again, with Knight of Cups, I like that we're ending on the same sort of energy. Knights actually bring things forward, and in some ways are a lot more active and a lot more able to change things than the king. So be a little bit more youthful, creative, take some risks. That's what we're seeing with the Knight of Cups. For health this month, it's really about how you feel. Spreading your wings is about separating yourself from anyone that might be controlling or taking away power. It's also giving you a chance to reconnect with your soul purpose, your soul energy. Again, this might be stepping away from people that are trying to tell you to do something as well, because we see here integrity in the workspace. Either you're going to help model that, or you might have to bring it back into balance, or you're going to step away because you can't do it and it doesn't exist, and you have someone that just can't exist with your energy, with your frequency. Perception is the most important thing with respect to relationships. One other thing that I didn't talk about is someone may show their true colors. They may seem one way, but by the end of the month, you see them in a much different light. So March is a month of revelations. I think that's the name of this deck, so it's very appropriate, this deck anyway. So just keep that in mind. And we saw here the two sides of this. This is potential. This is growth that wants to happen. This is growth that is actually manifest. And it has to do, again, with the heart, following your heart, spreading your wings. This could almost be wings outstretched from an angelic figure. So in that, we also see a phoenix. For some of you, that could be kind of you coming through a difficult period and reemerging. Again, I like that I'm not seeing super heavy energy in the cards, just really choices around power, choices around your career and relationships. And the hard part of that is making the decision, right? So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to help you through some of these choices of empowerment, and also for the perception card, maybe looking at healing yourself, looking at others, trying to get a different view of relationships overall. All right, I need another drink, and let's see what's going on here. Past influences first. With the past influences, we're going to see what's holding you back, or maybe what's helping you with respect to all of that unconditional love energy that I was talking about. So we have Seven of Cups here. Seven of Cups reversed. So let's talk about this. I actually love that this is reversed here, because we're seeing someone almost like, in this deck, for a moment, it looked like they were unshackling themselves, but this is a decisive card when it's reversed. When it's upright, it's actually indecisive. So there are some cards when read in the reverse that are better. The Seven of Cups is one of them, unless the express purpose would be for you to try to brainstorm or explore new things. The message here is, you know what to do. You don't need too many cooks in the kitchen to try to give you a different perspective. And when you start to filter out some of that nonsense that might be in your friends, family, or even just in the world in general, you're going to succeed. Notice how she is joyfully moving forward. She knows what she wants. It's time to fly. She's spreading her wings. So I would say the freedom here is in owning what you've always known to be true. Going back to the original idea of what you need and what you want, and not getting mired down in all these other things that are sometimes even a temptation. When you look at the Seven of Cups upright in this deck, it can be about the things the shiny things, right? You're trying to focus, and then all of a sudden that's going on. You're trying to do your homework and you turn on the TV instead. So this is about really staying focused, okay? So let's go ahead now and see what's going on with respect to present opportunities. We have this is interesting, the King of Swords in reverse. King of Swords in reverse can often indicate being too critical. And I think for you, if you look at this, actually, you'll see that in the upright position, we can see their face. They're pretty balanced. In this one, they're going into themselves. And I would say what you want to avoid this month is saying the first thing that comes to your mind, saying something because it makes you feel good, not necessarily because it's the right thing. Biting your tongue sometimes is important. And I think that for you, picking and choosing that battle, that conflict will, for some of you, feel really, really good. But it hurts afterwards because it cuts both ways. That's something a phrase that I didn't understand until I was an adult. So if you say something hurtful, you'll hurt that person, but then you'll feel their hurt, especially if you're somebody that is empathic. I just want to thank my moderators for keeping this a really great safe space. So with respect to that also, everybody, please keep topics on topic here while we're talking so that I can focus. So with the King of Swords in reverse, don't go for the easy thing. Don't do something just because it feels good. Focus on balancing it out. And sometimes it's better to say nothing. And just pick your words wisely. If there's someone in your life that's too harsh, we have the Emperor combined with the King of Swords. This definitely can be a boss or a father or a parental figure, someone that kind of comes in and makes you feel less than. Don't allow that to happen either. You know who you are. And this criticism, whether it's internal or external, is kind of pulling you off that path. Get back into the celebratory Seven of Cups reversed and know yourself. You know yourself better than this person, okay? All right, now we have the Nine of Cups, and the Nine of Cups is in reverse. And with respect to the Nine of Cups, it's it's a card in the upright position that is really celebrating the bounty, all the things that you're grateful for. The reversal is a reminder of something that I heard once from Archangel Uriel, which was, don't forget to express gratitude. Don't forget to say thanks. And the angel conveyed that information so that I could open my heart and so that more energy could come through. It wasn't literally sort of like a slap on the hands. It's like when you exist in a place of joy and gratitude, so much more is available to you. When you start to feel entitlement, anger, or any sort of resentment, you constrict the heart space and you start to close off people that truly want to help you. So look at the bounty in front of you, look at the opportunities, and look at everything that came into your life, even perhaps whoever or whatever this King of Swords reversed is, as a sort of learning experience. And that's going to be really important to helping you succeed. Nine of Cups reverse can also show that it's time to just be joyful. You can choose one extreme or another. If you find it hard to walk the balance between the two extremes, then talk to someone who can help you. Because sometimes the Nine of Cups exists with people where you're in a tough point in your life. Maybe you're dealing with loss. Maybe there's a chemical imbalance. Maybe there's just too much going on and you need help. So whatever it is that you need to get that balance, that Nine of Cups is saying, find the balance, whatever you need to get there. Let's pull them together, looking at what we can really focus on with unconditional healing. Again, I feel like you know best for yourself. And I think this can be the single most important card and message this month, is just to trust yourself, to tune out the other energies, to take the negative and turn it into positive, not to say the first thing that comes to your mind. And if you have someone in your life that does that, realize probably a lot of what they're saying has to do with themselves. It's interesting that sword reverse card is actually a projection of someone's insecurities, right? And then finally, to really stay in the highest and most positive energy. All of these things are going to help you out. Gratitude is the way. Gratitude and joy. And again, this is someone who might have been sad, but finds a way to channel that into something positive, okay? We're going to move now into the meditation. Before I do that, I saw a lot of questions here and I was trying not to pay attention to it. Stick around until the end. If you're looking on how to join me on social media, how to join me on PayPal, I'll get into all of that at the end, okay? So just stay focused and stick around. The meditation is going to be really important and really beneficial to healing. One thing that you can do, by the way, right now, if you want to give back, is again, do a super chat or join me on, actually just right now, you can like, subscribe, and that doesn't cost anything, and it's a great way to stay in touch. Done with that. One thing I want to talk about with respect to this, because I know there'll be questions, I'm going to be using a singing bowl. And one thing that I'm starting on my website is if I use something in my videos, I give you a way to follow it, or find it. This is super cheap. This is $11, okay? And I just wanted to try a sound therapy that I've used before and try to see if I could use something that wasn't expensive and see how it would work. So I found it was really helpful, and we're going to be using this in a moment to raise your frequency. I'll do it at the end of the meditation, and if you want to look into it, the link is there. Now let's get into the meditation, the fun stuff, okay? So I'm going to look at my notes here. I really like this. Take a quick glance at this before we get into this. We're going to be walking this stairway of light. I really like that. And also take a look at this card. It'll help you in the meditation. And see the fire and energy above your crown chakra. We're going to be using these two images as we move through the meditation. First thing we need to do is ground our energy. So please start the meditation with just tuning into your body. So close your eyes, relax a little bit here, and take your hands off the keyboard. Really be present in this meditation. All right, with the first breath, find a place in your body where you tend to hold on to stress. It could, for some of you, be a tightening of the jaw. It could just be, for those of you that internalize, it could be your head where you have headaches or migraines. It could also be your neck, shoulder, or back, maybe even the tightness around the hips if you're sitting too much. Wherever that space is, as we breathe in and you expand your chest cavity, I want you to really open up the heart and allow a beam of light to come in through the heart. You can imagine a sun beam or a moon beam, depending on what time of day it is for you. But just see this celestial beam of light coming through your heart. And take a nice deep breath and allow that to radiate through your body and open and heal any of these spaces that need to be brought into balance. Nice deep breath. Inhale, bringing that sun or moon beam into your heart. Breathing the celestial energy into your body, seeing it starting to expand outward, touching each and every cell, pushing its way into your auric field as well. Exhale, let go of anything that you don't want or need. Good. See yourself at the top of a mountain or the top of a hill. And I want you to see yourself surrounded in rocks, like a circle of rocks. Different color, different shaped stones. You could even imagine each and every one kind of has the different colors of the rainbow. And these can be polished crystals if you would like. We were talking about that gem there. So imagine each of these has been worked and you have all of the colors of the rainbow around you. And you're in the center of that, holding a darker shaped stone because we want to ground ourselves, obsidian or volcanic rock. This is going to keep you connected to the earth plane. And I want you to, in this particular moment in the meditation, look at each of the crystals. And as you breathe, start to see the light within them create a portal of light reaching upwards, or a beam of light reaching upwards. So as we take the first breath, we start to see red, orange, and yellow light up. We feel the lower three chakras also connect. We feel a connection and a safety there as we connect with the earth plane. Exhale. Breathing with the next three, we're seeing now the heart, the throat, the third eye chakras. So the color of green, blue, indigo starting to light up around us. And now seeing we have other chakras outside of that. So we start to see like purpley and golden and pure white crystals lighting up as well. And we hold on to that beautiful darker stone, keeping us connected to the planet. So as we decide to walk into those beams of light, we can always come back because you're going to hold that stone, the darker crystal. And it's going to keep you grounded, and it'll take in any energy, fear, or frustration that you don't need. It has its own energy and its own glow, but it's more of a frequency than a light. You just feel safe with that stone in your hands. Focusing on all of the different rays of light, you start to notice that as the colors mix, they become pure white. And that's kind of the nice combination. If you look at colors on printed paper, when they combine, they become black. When you look at the visual spectrum, they become white, something I learned as a designer. So you're actually holding the two ends of the spectrum. The black energy is going to keep you connected. It's more practical. The white energy is going to help you ascend. So as you move into the beam of light, you keep your body on the planet, but you start to walk. You can see it almost as a rainbow or as a staircase towards this beautiful bright light. It could be a portal, it could be a star, it could be a light body version of yourself. Don't worry about it just yet. I want you to take this journey. It's like the journey of the Fool. We're moving towards the World card, so we have some things to work through. And as we take this journey, we're going to eventually get to that point. As you're starting to walk along this beautiful stairway, notice first of all that it looks like it goes towards infinity. And as you look in either directions, there's more than ample space. You're not going to fall off. In fact, you can even imagine there's this beautiful railing filled with crystalline structures, almost like these dancing light particles. If you touch them, you can feel them, but you can also kind of move through them because you are energy as well. So take a moment here to take in the sights, to learn and gain perspective, the energy of the Seven of Cups. So look at your past, and you can imagine yourself almost like the god Janus, being able to see before and in front and behind yourself. So look at the past. What brought you to this point? Was it your own choice, your own volition? If so, take a moment to own that joy that you created this path. What were you pushed on this path by someone else? If so, I want you to take a moment to take a nice deep breath and imagine that you're going to release that chain, that shackle. With this breath, you're going to release it and say, I release you. I release all contracts, spoken and unspoken, implicit and explicit in this life and in others. And in doing so, our contract is null and void. We are both free to move forward, onward, and upward. Let go, knowing that your release is enough to release them. Even if they're not ready, they're going to eventually get there themselves. Take a deep breath now and move towards the future, and knowing that the breath now is actually starting to move you. You don't have to move your legs. You're starting to feel behind you almost as if you have wings. And as you get to the midpoint of this stairway of light, you feel those wings starting to move out of your body. And at first it feels a little uncomfortable, but then it starts to feel like this wonderful appendage or part of you that was always there. And wings aren't just normal size. They can reach out as far as your eyes can see. You are only limited by your imagination. You're only limited by your own perception, something that we saw today. So perceive yourself in the most positive light with the most potential. And if you want to go into your heart space, in this moment, I want you to take your heart in your hands and see it as a beautiful green crystal. And if there's any place of it there's some sort of a scar or a scuff, or it's not quite created the way you want it, imagine what it should be and breathe into the crystal and reforge it, recreate it. Imagine that you're able to create a new facet to make it shinier, more lustrous, more vibrant. Inhale. Breathe into this heart crystal and replace it into your heart. As you do this, feel that your wings are now carrying you. You're no longer walking on the stairway. You're actually gliding towards the light. And now I want you to feel what true divine energy is, which is unconditional love. Loving the good, loving the not so good, loving everything, because this idea of good versus bad is an illusion. It's all divine. God created everything. There are no mistakes. There is no part of this journey that has made you something that your higher self or God itself wouldn't love. And when you start to think to yourself, I am love, maybe you have to work on this part of I love myself, but if you can realize that you are in the frequency, in the currency of love, something maybe comes through that hasn't before, which is acceptance. Sit here for a moment and think about that. Think about I am love and I accept myself, whatever I am, however I look, wherever I live, whatever's going on in my life. It's okay. It may not be what others wanted. It may not be what I thought I would have at this point, but life is like that. It's twisty. It's unusual. It takes us in paths that we don't always expect. But at this point, your third eye starts to open and you see that star in front of you or that portal in front of you, and you realize I don't have to take the winding path anymore. There is an easier way. I'm going to choose the path of love and light, and I'm going to open up to what I've always known to be right. And as this starts to happen, you see a crown of light come through the top of your head, your crown chakra. And you could see one color for each and every color of the rainbow. You could see all golden or all silver energy. You can create whatever kind of crown you would like, but it's not something that's placed on your head. It's something that comes from you. It's singular. It's divine. It's always there. It's always been there. You were created from divine energy, so why are you not also divine? In this moment, you're entering into the beautiful court card energy that we saw with the King of Cups, with the King of Wands, with the Emperor itself. So in this moment, I want you to see yourself as the archangels see you, as God sees you, as your higher self sees you, which is a divine agent of change, a divine agent that can bring love and joy to the planet as something worth loving. Take a deep breath. Keep that crown bright, keep it strong, keep your heart shining, allow those wings to be outstretched. Find yourself on planet Earth. Go to that stone that you are holding, the other side of the energy. And I want you to gently drift towards that. If you've ever seen people gliding in the air using what is it called? A glider, yeah. Or like a kite. Or if you even just see a bird, when it reaches a certain velocity, it can just sort of easily glide into space. I want you to imagine now that your body is drawing your higher self in, and there's no sense of tension. You want to come home. You're ready to come back. You're ready to integrate that divine self, the new heart space that you've opened up, and this sense of freedom. I can do what I want. So we're going to enter through the crown chakra. Sometimes we go through the third eye, but we're going to enter in through the crown. So as you start to travel from the expanse of the galaxy, from the outer edge towards the local galaxy system, to the Milky Way itself, all the way into our solar system, you can see your light sparkling on this little blue planet. As you take a breath, you're going to go into your body, into a light beam very fast, and then you're going to gently kind of re-emerge, sort of energize yourself and allow for these two different bodies to lock into place. We'll take a few different breaths because it's almost like you were a newborn here. It takes a while to get used to this physical body again. First breath, I want the energy to merge with your outer energy. So nice deep breath as your body's coming back into the auric shield. With the next breath, you start to go into the crown chakra. And with the third breath, you melt into your physical body. Hold this for a second and see the crown is still there. The wings are still there. The heart is shining brighter than it ever has before. You are physical, you are metaphysical, you are divine, you are earthly, you are all of these things and more. Allow your imagination to create the change that you need in your life. Take a final breath. And listen for a moment as we do a gentle healing meditation here. All right, everyone, you can wake up now. Open your eyes, take a final breath. Welcome back. We went a little bit over time today, but there was a lot in the meditation that needed to come through. And I didn't do as much with the singing bowl, but I didn't want us to stay here forever. So hopefully you received the healing that you needed. I'll be doing some more sound meditations over the next few weeks here. So I'll do a longer one if you like that. And remember this month that you have the power to create the change necessary. It's okay to spread your wings. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody, okay? Per the questions earlier, I'd like to answer some of the ways that you can get involved. As I said, anybody that's been kind enough today to do a super chat, thank you so much for doing that. Again, it helps me buy supplies like the singing bowl. It also helps me with the cards. There's a lot of different ways that you can reach out and connect with me. All of them are contained on my website, which is nicholasashbaugh.com. And I know the moderators have put that link here. And you can join me on Instagram if you haven't already. It's Nicholas_Ashbaugh. It's a really great place to get reminders, see pictures of Apollo. I post them frequently, whether in a story or actually in the pictures themselves. I think most of you already follow me here on YouTube, but you know, surprisingly enough, when I look at the metrics, 80% of the people that view my videos don't subscribe. It costs nothing to subscribe. So if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do it. It makes a big impact. I don't get a lot with respect to ad revenues. So the more subscribers I get, the more it kind of helps out in the long run. If you want to give back, a way that you can do that is Patreon. And if you haven't followed me on my official Facebook page, I have the same username on all of these, which is @NicholasAshbaugh for YouTube, for Patreon, and for Facebook. So you can do a search for that username and join me there. And Twitter, of course, is another place to get updates on what I'm going to be doing for the day. Someone asked about PayPal. It's on my website, and it's my name. And I know that you can just basically go to the link that says Patron, and all of these forms are basically listed there. I also do one-on-one appointments. There's currently about a month waiting, so you'll have to wait a little bit, but feel free to look at my website for appointment information. And again, it's the crowdsourcing that makes this possible. So for all of you that are kind enough to be channel members, all the folks with green names in chat, thank you so much. For those of you that were awesome today and did some stickers and some super chats, you're amazing as well. Thank you. And for those of you on Patreon, I couldn't do it without you, so I have to say thank you, because again, YouTube doesn't really support creators the way they should. So thank you for making it possible. And more importantly, thank you for working on yourselves each and every day to make change in your life happen. I'm here to try to teach, to try to help, and try to raise the frequency. Special thanks to Ryan and Maria. There was some crazy stuff going on in chat, so thank you guys for keeping it safe and making it a wonderful place. And thanks for everyone else for just also doing the same. I appreciate everybody. Much love and light now, and always take care of yourselves. I'll see you again next month. If you've missed any of your sun, rising, or moon readings, check them out on my main YouTube page. And as I said earlier, keep an eye out for meditations. I'll be doing some specific videos, maybe like 5, 7, 10, or 30-minute meditations to help you with that practice. Lots of love to everybody. Have a great weekend, a great Friday. And no matter when you watch this, be kind to yourselves and have a great day, okay? Thank you.